Socialism is the involuntary extraction of wealth to fund social utilities.
Socialism is selfishness.
Tip number 1, when arguing about socialism, is force those who defend capitalism to present a clear definition of what capitalism and what socialism actually are. They rarely do this. As you listen to voices like Ben Shapiro, Charlie Kirk, and others defend capitalism, and you listen to them attack socialism, you'll notice that throughout the argument, the definition of socialism changes based on whatever is convenient. If you point to China's successes, and the fact that China has had so much economic progress, alleviated so much poverty, they say, oh, well, that's because China's capitalist. However, if they were to then point to bad things that happened in China, suppression of civil liberties, something like that, they'll say, see how bad socialism is. If they talk about the United States, if you point to the USA having a high standard of living, they'll say, the United States is so great because it's capitalist. And if you then point to the problems in U.S. society, like crumbling infrastructure, like the prison industrial complex, they'll say, that's because we're socialist here in the United States. We've been socialist since 1935 or whenever, right? Sometimes socialism is Pol Pot. Sometimes socialism is the post office. Sometimes socialism is China today. Sometimes socialism is Norway and Sweden. Sometimes the United States is poor because it's socialist. Sometimes the United States is rich because it's capitalist. Sometimes China is successful because it's socialist. Other times China is brutal and repressive because it's capitalist. They can't agree on a clear definition. And in order to have any debate with anyone, you have to have a clear definition of what you're arguing about. So if you're going to have an argument about socialism and capitalism, you need to force your opponent to be clear about what the definition of the terms actually is, and then you need to then contrast their definition with your definition, and you need to hold them true to their definition. For example, if they say that the United States is capitalist, then they must own all the problems of U.S. society. However, if they say that China, for example, is socialist, then they must recognize all of China's economic achievements, right? You'll get some who will insist that capitalism has never existed anywhere, that it is this pure ideal of a society where the government never intervenes. And if that's the case, they have no right to claim any of the successes in the world, right? None of the achievements in the world can be blamed on capitalism, because there's never been true capitalism according to their definition. Right? You have to force them to hold a consistent definition of the terms. Make them hold a consistent definition of capitalism, and make them hold a consistent definition of socialism.
We offer a clear definition of what socialism and capitalism actually are. Capitalism is a system of production organized for profit. As Frederick Engels said, under capitalism, the means of production only function as preliminary transformation into capital, meaning that we don't have food so people can eat it. We have food so big box stores and agribusiness can make profit selling it. And under capitalism, we don't have housing so people can live in it. We have housing so landlords and banks and others can make profits selling it. Under capitalism, money is in charge. Profits are in command, as Mao Zedong, the leader of the Chinese Revolution, said. That's capitalism. Capitalism is a system of production organized for profit. And socialism is the abolition of capitalism. It's when you have a government based in communities, serving the people, that forces the economy to work in the interests of the people, and profits are no longer in command. It's when the economy is organized to serve public good, not the profits of a few. Socialism is a government of action that controls the means of production and organizes them for the benefit of society. It's a government of action that fights for working families.